What do you want others to feel when they come across your art, May?
I just want them to feel like they can relate to how I'm feeling. A lot of the music that I write, or well, I don't really write music. I just kind of write like lines and then I stop writing it because I just can't put an entire song together. But usually when I write, I'm just like, oh, I feel like other people feel the same way, just like the quarantine song.
I love that. And it's like you never know what other people are going through, but there's a chance that somebody else in the world is going through the same thing that you're going through. And a lot of people find therapy in music. So I think it's great that you're able to like recognize that power in music. And so I just want to shout you out with that. Our second question is, what emotion is mostly common reflected in your art?
I'm not really sure. I feel like it's a lot of like just being really sad or really happy. It's not like a mix of both. It's either really sad or really happy. Sometimes I'll play just like the piano and I'll play classical music, and sometimes it'll sound super intense or it'll sound really calm. So I think it's just one or the other.
Nice. So like when you're in the process of like writing your music, like you'll write like a line and then like you'll come back to it later. Is that kind of like the goal or like the intention with your music to like kind of convey that very extreme emotion of being happy or like being sad?
Usually, when I start writing a song, it's because something will spark my interest, and I'll be like, oh, I could write a song about that. And so then I start writing it, and then I run out of ideas. I'm like, okay, I guess I have to go like do something else for a while or whatever.
So it's like you have to go get motivated again to keep on writing. And so I like that you're already aware of that, of like your mind state and how you have to like come back maybe at a later time to write more lyrics to the song that you're creating. So great job. And you're only how old?
I'm 16.
And you already have mastered that skill? Okay, babe, get it. Our third question is, how long did it take you to have courage to identify as an artist?
I'm not really sure because I started doing music at a really young age. Like when I was like 3, I didn't really enjoy playing with like children's toys, and I always like went over to the keyboard and I would just like pluck notes or whatever, or I'd go to the guitar and start like strumming random chords. I think that like because my family is musical, that's when I was like, oh, I'm gonna be an artist. So
That's dope. So you've like technically you've always been an artist since like you were a lot younger. And it seems like you have like some family history. Like, does like your cousins or your mom or your dad, do like they play instruments? Do they sing?
yeah, my dad plays the guitar, my mom plays the piano, my brother plays the saxophone, my aunt plays the piano, my uncle plays the guitar, and my cousin, he plays the trombone and the piano. So,
Oh, so you just come from like a family of like artists. And I remember you said that you play like 5 or 7 instruments, was it?
it's like around 7.
I wonder what your family reunions look like. Is it everybody like, you know, jamming out, playing their instruments, or how do family events go?
Well, it depends on like who's at the reunion. So we're actually like really into the Los Angeles Angels team for baseball. So we watch them every time we get together. But then like my cousin and my brother and I will just like go into his family room and we'll be like playing the instruments that are in there or whatever.
That's
It
really
sounds really productive. I feel
cool.
like a lot of the times whenever we would have family functions, we would either be beating each other up or
Right.
playing video games. But you guys are like, no, we're gonna go play some music. So that's dope, just in terms of like the evolution of like how you've already been able to like master like so many instruments. And um I do remember that like when we had our Voices of Change, like that was like your debut like performance outside of like us like knowing and like of course like your parents, like has there been like any other time that you played your music?
Yeah, so I'm in the high school band, so I play for them. I dual instruments or I multi instruments. So whichever instrument that my band teacher just needs me to play, I'll play. So I mainly play the trumpet, but I recently switched to the French horn because he needed a French horn player. So that added to me having been able to play 7 instruments. So now I can play 7 instruments because of that. But I also played the piano for them, and sometimes I played the xylophone. Yeah.
I'm here for the versatility. That's so dope. And since like we aren't in school anymore, like do you still have like access to those instruments? Like how is the whole pandemic like affected like your music classes and courses and stuff?
Um, well, I actually, so I own a piano and a guitar and a trumpet and an ukulele. And so actually, there's my piano. And then back here, there's 3 of my guitars.
So you said this pandemic is not affecting you one bit, huh? I'm really big into the like the ukulele. Like our family members play the ukulele because it's like big in island culture. And so I just wanted to know, like, how long did it take for you to learn how to play the ukulele, and like what caught your interest in wanting to learn about that instrument?
So I got my ukulele, I think 2 years ago. And right as I got it, I was like, okay, I'm gonna start learning to play chords. And because like I've played piano for basically, I think this will be my 11th year playing piano, all musicians know that piano is like the base of all instruments. And so if you know how to play piano, it's pretty easy to play any other instrument because you know how like the scale of the chords. And so from there you can just like figure out how to or like figure out what notes are what or what chords are what. And so just like the ukulele was like not very hard to learn just because it has only 4 strings. It's a lot easier than guitar, so
Nice. I hope to see you playing that again soon.
Right. That's cool. And I didn't know that. So it kind of seems like the piano is kind of like the foundation for like all of like these instruments. And then it's kind of easy to mimic those sounds on like other like devices. So like with your future songs, like do you like I guess you have like an instrument in mind that you like want to like bring for like your next song or
I usually only write my own music if I'm playing the piano or the ukulele because those are just like the instruments that I have mastered and can actually accompany me while I'm singing versus just playing the instrument. But the problem for me is that I'm a lot better at creating like melodies. Like I can just start humming and then I'll like all of a sudden create a melody in my head. But like words for me are the hardest part.
do you do you feel like you're able to like work better like alone or do you like work better like in groups in terms of creating music?
That's kind of a hard question. So I really enjoy working with other people. Like my friend for her senior project, she decided to put a jazz band together because our school doesn't have a jazz band. So that's what we did. And she asked me to play the piano and she's like, oh, you know what? Since we're playing jazz, you can like improvise or something. And I was like, I don't know how to improvise because I've played classical music my entire life. This is my first time being exposed to like playing jazz music. And so I think that for being in a group, it's really good to be in a group if you want like exposure to new things that you probably wouldn't have been exposed to by yourself. Because when you're by yourself, you just do a lot of things that you're really familiar with. And so you don't really do things out of what you don't really know. But also at the same time, playing by yourself is really good because then you can actually like put your feelings out there because like even though you're writing music with a group you might not actually be putting all your feelings out there because some people are, I mean, like it's not bad to be ashamed of what you feel, but at the same time it's just like natural for people to feel ashamed of what they might be feeling and stuff like that.
I definitely understand. It's definitely a lot harder to be vulnerable like in a room full of people as opposed to like when it's just you. So that's cool. But I do like the part about how you kind of talk about like getting out of like your comfort zone and how when you are like in these rooms with other people like in a group that you're able to draw like inspiration from them so that when you do go home and it is kind of just you and you are being vulnerable, you have like another piece to like add to like your entire collection of sound. So that's cool. And thank you.
So your organization is like Sacramento Youth Alliance, right? Okay, so funny thing is, I actually like I don't live in California, and so I just thought that that was interesting because I was like, "Oh, like I've never heard of this group." And when I was like around 6 and like before that, I used to live in Sacramento. And so that's why I was like, "Oh my gosh, like there's all these things that I never knew of when I was living in Sacramento." And I visit like the Los Angeles area every year because my like the rest of my family lives down there. And so it's just me and my immediate family that live out of California. So,
Nice. How did you hear about the Virtual Voices of Change?
so I started following this like campaign hate is a virus, and so I started following them, and then the Sacramento Youth Alliance like the profile started following me, and I was like, oh, what is this? So I started looking at it, and then I was like, oh, this is really interesting. And then when I saw the competition thing, I was like, you know, I have nothing better to do. I'm just gonna enter it. Like I'm gonna do it. So that's how I became part of this.
That's awesome. Where are you from? I mean, where do you stay now? Like what state?
Oregon.
That's so cool that you actually lived in Sacramento when you were younger, and then you just like popped up here in the Sacramento Youth Alliance.
It is. Hashtag stay connected.
Right. Exactly. And we also do have like we're not just a Sacramento based organization. We have other partners in other states. Like that's the reason why I asked you, because we have we're a part of this national organization called Opportunity Youth United, and Sacramento Youth Alliance is one of their 20 community action teams that are spread across the United States. And honestly, more of them are on the East Coast and the Midwest of the United States. The only ones that are on the West Coast is Sacramento, LA, San Francisco, Oakland, and Washington. So the state of Washington. And so it was just those 5 that are on the West Coast, and then everybody else is on the East Coast and in the Midwest. But that's great to know that you followed that campaign happening first. Hate is not a virus, and then you just hey, and we're glad to have you a part of us, Mei. It's awesome to have a 16-year-old who plays 7 instruments and is so talented, and that you're so aware of like what your talents are in terms of like your passion for music, and it shows up in the way that you describe it. So, kudos to you, girl. You are doing it. Alrighty, Mei. Well, you know my contact info. Feel free to reach out if you need anything, all right?
Got it.
Alrighty. We hope to see you on the 22nd again. Take care, Mei. Bye.
Yeah.